Hello, everyone. So, I just saw the first part of Andor, A Star Wars Story Season 2, and I gotta say, hey, the end of this spin-off, which leads right to the events of Rogue One, is off to a great start. And much like I thought, each each week is gonna have one chapter of the show drop with 3 episodes apiece. He's basically equating to like a movie that's 2 hours and change in terms of the writing, the acting, and production values, and I think it's actually a nice little middle ground between like the binge model where you release the whole season at once, and the weekly model where you just stagger out like an episode out each week. And the episodes in question this week are 1 year later, fittingly. He he as it kicks off a year after the events of the very explosive first season finale, and also the well, means 4 years before the events of New Hope. Sagrona Tima as Cassian is trying to who will survive amongst a rebel cell who's trying to who stab each other in the back as much as they are trying to bring down their enemies. And the last one, Harvest, and let's just say that there's more than an intergalactic wheat being grown in this part of the galaxy, I would say. And I can definitely say that it very much follows the first season's pattern of viewing the saga through an adult perspective, as well as the actually deconstructing a lot of ideas that we've come to know and love throughout the saga. I mean, the Ragtag Prince of Misfits trope about a bunch of mismatched people trying to save everyone. Well, it turns out how, as I just mentioned, such a group is just as opponent petty squabbling and up to and including in turning blasters on each other. The ability to just climb into the cockpit of a starship have been and know how to pilot immensely. Turns out it's not really that simple. In fact, the controls are at least as complex for this experimental TIE fighter as my Star Wars Squadrons game, which is excellent. But it takes Cassian a few moments to figure out how to fly it, but he definitely has a decent handle on the weapons, which I approve of, like the ion chain guns, and also another form like the miniaturized Death Star tech, which it's much like the a much larger version that Kylo used on the Battle Crates. It can rip through the blast door like tinfoil. Was Finn put a crack door looking like an egg. And as you might have guessed, and also the fact that he's been one of the notable defenders of the last decades of stories, I'll just deal with like the potential retirement of the head of the company as it comes. Um, it still gives a lot of new things we haven't necessarily seen in the saga before, or and also how it managed to effectively use the just the story structure, or in a way that not only recalls almost the early days of the saga back in the 70s and early 80s, but also very much the classic film series inspiration as well. Well, given how the he we actually are in the middle of the journey right here, and it's clear that a lot has happened in the time since Cassian had to leave Ferrix and commit to the rebellion entirely, which is definitely not as easy as one might seem either. I mean, especially like the a dissonance in the editing as well, I'll say the least. I mean, especially in the third episode, who where one moment we're having some intergalactic EDM at at the party for Mon Mothma's wedding in ceremony. A cuts between in what's arguably one of the darkest skirmishes I've seen. Albeit on a much smaller scale. I mean, we see people dying, actually blood being drawn, and to not get too displeased with the AI overlords, words that may or may not be listening. In in Cassian's partner, her one of the Imperial officers, hers tries to do something to her that rhymes with raping her, so to speak, and their words hurts my phrasing. I mean, I definitely have spoken quite highly of the show before, and I already can tell just from these 3 episodes already that's already recontextualizing what I think about Rogue One as well, especially in terms of how I view Krennic, where one thing I took away from the movie when I first saw it in 2016 was whereas as Tarkin tried to keep him online through a admittedly very warped sense of order, his actions taking a sheer malice. I mean, wanting to impose sanctions on a planet and a rebel sympathizers and its economy solely for disagreeing with the Empire's practices. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? And also, oh, I'd like to point out once again, and I definitely can say I survived both the pandemic and my spectrum just fine, and I guarantee you I will be around some capacity long after the current head of HHS is gone. But that's not my business. Though I regrettably may not be able to do all of this right away, hey, I can at least get the first half of the show done since the next 3 episodes basically take the second chapter will be dropping next week, and even though I'm going to be on Oahu, when the next parts drop, I intend to cover those as well. I'm gonna try at least get something done to leave with you on the way out. At the very least, I'm definitely going to be seeing Thunderbolts on open, so that's the one movie I'll be picking before I take off. I mean, as for or Gilroy and Luna moving on to their projects after this show concludes, I'm also glad they willing to keep working together. After that, I can definitely tell that Gilroy's creative fingers are on this, and this is among his best work, I would say. Which also means at some point I'm gonna have to talk about some of his stuff that wasn't as well received. I mean, he's hinted that some of his lesser well received scripts were altered beyond his wishes, and I'm not at liberty to confirm that myself, but it personally will not surprise me if that were the case. As for tomorrow, well, I might have a video out to you by then. I might not. It'll just depend on how my dental appointment goes and how much or if they use any anesthetic. I mean, I definitely know I'm going to be rating, especially my top priority on spoiler reviews is the one for Sonic 3, this June, and that's also going to be around the time I have my wisdom rollers out, so there's definitely going to be a slowdown then. I also just about have my summer movie calendar put together. I mean, with I definitely have ones I want to see, and ones I'm not entirely certain I'll be able to catch theatrically. I'm just putting honorable mentions, and so I can definitely say there'll be plenty to talk about there. Can't make an opening night for all the stuff I want to see, but opening weekend is usually my goal, as per usual. Anyway, that'll be all for now. I'll see you all again soon. May Force be with you all.